Hello all, welcome back again. Welcome back to County Limerick. So, bit of a change since last met you. We were doing our herd test last week and dividing out the cattle, and a gate came swinging out and my hand got caught at the end of the gate where a pillar and kept on going, and after breaking 2 bones. So not very pleasant, but we're a week into it now and the operation is over and just have to suck it up and get over it. There'll be an end in sight, and hopefully a number of weeks, and maybe get off the elbow part, and it will be fine. It's just part of the farming. Very lucky to have all the help. Like, parents are doing an awful lot. We have help with AI and cattle. We already have the full-time man with us, and I have neighbours as well. Another girl down the road coming in to help us with the milking, and just organising the AI. The AI, the breeding season has started. We start breeding on the 18th, so it's going very well. It is all 6 semen with the cows for the first couple of weeks. The submissions have been very good. So we're AI morning and evening. So luckily enough, our AI man is living next door to us, so he can call on his way home in the evening. So it's great, because when we were doing DIY, we were AI in the evening anyway, and it is found the submission or the conception rates are very good at that stage, so I'd like to keep that going. The cows are going well. Our yield is 26 litres at the moment, and we're at 386 fat and 423 protein. Somatic cell is 98,000. They're going very well. They're going into fantastic covers. They're going into covers of around 1,500. Farm cover. I failed to get a grass walk done last week. The operation was a week ago today, so I failed to get a grass walk done last week. But grass is on par. When we last spoke, we were close enough to finishing the first round, and with the fine weather that came, we actually ended up baling the last paddock in the first round, and we baled the first paddock in the second round. Things were getting away from us a small bit. Now we're back on track, and growth has slowed down. Growth is only in the mid 40s now, and our demand at the moment, with all the land available, our demand is only in the mid 40s. So there's better forecasts for next week, so grass should pick up. Cows are grazing our paddocks very well. We're in here now today. I don't want to walk too close to them because they're not exactly happy to be in here. They have to graze this out, finish grazing it out. They'd like to be finished, but obviously it is important to graze out the fields properly, and look after the quality. So yeah, the breeding season has started, where the condition is very good. Very happy with the cows. The only other news then that happened last week as part of the test, we had 3 reactors with our TBs. So that process has started. We're keeping the milk from those cows. They're separate, and yeah, we just have to engage the process. It'll hopefully everything going according to plan. We'll hopefully be clear by the end of August. Not nice. It's not a whole lot. Doesn't seem to be anything around. There's no neighbours locked up or anything, so we're not sure where it kind of came from. Look, it is what it is. We just have to engage with the process and roll with it. It's frustrating, but such is life. So that's the cows. Everything is going well. Apart from that, the maidens here behind us. We split them in 2. We're doing fixed time AI, 6 semen. The first half of them, there's 30 here. 15 of them were served last Friday, and the second 15 are being served today, Wednesday. Last Friday was the 18th, so today is whatever. Yeah, and yeah, they're going very well. They'll be going out now hopefully next week. The early ones that were served last Friday would have gone out this week, but it's just the weather's not ideal for them for their first time out. We'll wait till next week. There's a better forecast, and hopefully it should all go well. The bull is outside waiting for them to catch up any of the repeats, and it's a good programme. It's handy. They're inside. They're beside the crush. It's very straightforward, and they're all done and dusted, and so hopefully we'll have good success rate with them. We gave them all when we were vaccinating them there a number of weeks ago. We gave them all a bolus as well, just to top up minerals for these number of weeks, because when they're going out to grass, like, they've no access to ration or anything, and we've no minerals in the water or anything. So we gave them a bolus to boost them up a bit. So hopefully they'll be good. Next thing we're planning to do a bit of reseeding, obviously, here behind us. One thing I never mentioned with the cows, while the yield is 26 litres, we are on 4.5 kilos of ration at the moment as well. Kind of want to just keep the, keep the mineral pack in the cows, keep the cows well fed coming up to the breeding. So yeah, it's a 4.5 kilos ration. So we're reseeding here this year as well. We're reseeding, we aim for 10% every year. We'll get to 10%. We'll never get more than 10%, but it'll often be less. But in here, it is obviously to spread off. It'll be disc and power harrow. We have a drain to put in at the other side of the ditch. But on the farm, we have a lot of monocultures over the years. So single varieties, and sure, it was interesting to put in some of the single varieties. We've had some of the good ones. We were putting them in as part of trials, but now from now on it's kind of off our own bat. So in here we're going to put a monoculture in here. So what's going in here is Aberclyde. I think it's either the 4th or 5th one on the PPI list. So it seems the figures for it look very good on the PPI. So hopefully that'll be good. And there's two clovers going in with it then. There's a kind of a hybrid clovers, Aberlasting and Aber Herald is it's a medium clover then. So they're going in as part of it. We have worked on with the clovers over the years. They do work. They do work. Last year for us, because a lot of our land is muddy, it is heavy, the clover took an awful hammering. Some of the fields where last year and the year before they were getting no nitrogen over the summer, you kind of can't, looking at what's on at the moment, they're going to have to get nitrogen over the summer. Tis gone. But if we can get a third of the farm with adequate clover, and as it'll fall away then as the years coming on to your reseeding, I mean, if we can reduce over the course of the summer, if we can reduce our nitrogen requirements by a third, I mean, that'll be huge. So this is ready to go. We'll be at this in hopefully next week. As I say, the forecast is good for next week, so hopefully we'll be at this next week. The disking and power harrowing it. Lime will be applied to it as well. The pH on the farm, everywhere is fine for pH. It is not required, but every time we do reseeding, because it's a great chance to put it in, it'll get to 2 tons to the acre to build it up. And yeah, and that'll be it. A mistake we made last year when we were doing our reseeding at the tail end of last year, it was a bit of a rush at the end. We didn't get it rolled. It was put in, it was raining kind of at the end of the seeds going in, and we never got it rolled, and just the opportunity was there and we didn't take it, and we should have taken it. And if we got a very poor strike rate or take up on the reseeding. So we'll make an extra effort to get this rolled. So that's where we're at with this one.
G'day, Ollie here from Kernow Pasture. Just an on-farm update for the month, what we've been up to. We started off the month with herd test, so that's our final milk recording for the season. So that's really going to help us go forward in this month to figure out our culls, anything producing, not producing, but we also get a Yoni's test added to that one. So they're culls that we're going to get rid of as well. And then it'll be on to, the bale placement and crop allocation for the winter. But currently what we're doing on farm at the minute, average cover is 250. We're on a 34-day round. We're supplementing 3 kilos of silage, 2 kilos of meal in the shed, and then the rest out on grass. We're really just trying to slow the round down long enough there now, because we're now moving into end of April, early May. So this will be our last rotation of the farm. The way that the season's gone and going and growing, we grew just under demand there last week. So we're still growing pretty strong. So as it stands, we'll be milking a fair way through May if the weather doesn't give up on us in the meantime. Another big thing that's probably the change on farm at the minute is we'll be looking to go once a day 1st of May. The lanes have taken a bit of a hammering with some wet weather, just trying to reduce the walking that the cows are doing. But currently they're still sitting at 1.5 milk solids a day. And yeah, no, we're just going to go through those jobs with milk recording and crop allocation. So here we are in a paddock of kale. A lot of my young stock, my R2s and R1s, graze on kale through the winter. We also have Swedes that my cows will graze on in the winter, and we also have self-feed silage. So we're just trying to work out numbers and who we're putting on crop. But like I said, this is going to be for young stock. The dairy farm is literally over on that hill, so winter-wise we're not walking them very far. And then all of my staff will come over onto the sheep station and we'll move all the crop for the cows. So with this being a kale crop, what we would be doing is we'd have a kale cutter on the front of the quad bike, and we'll be cutting out weekly strips and work out weekly blocks how we're going to graze them. Basically, with the slope and critical source, there'll be a lot of back fencing and portable water troughs being moved around. So we've got one big main water trough over there and another big main water trough over there. So portable water troughs are key for us in the winter, and back fencing just to stop sediment movement, and also the aspect of weather, prevailing weather coming from that direction. That will all go into our plans of Plan B's, standoff areas. And as you can see, we've got a big hedge of macrocarpa that we can always shelter the cows in if it does get pretty wet and snowy. So it's always looking after the ground and the cows. So with milk recording here in New Zealand, we have LIC, and they come in, they supply us all with the milk meters. So that's being taken from the milk line, goes through the meter, and then we put the flasks into the milk meter, and each individual animal is programmed into the EasyLink computer, scan the barcode, and then put back into the tray. We do 3 herd tests a year. We could be a bit more accurate and do 4 herd tests, but right now the 3 gives us really good data, in the spring, and then good sort of culling options there, this late lactation. So it doesn't affect our milking. So the boys are on the outside doing what they need to do, and there's one other person plus myself inside the center of the rotary, and we input the data into the computer. So I input the data into the computer, scan the flask, and then I've got somebody on the opposite side of the shed taking the cups off as the cow exits the rotary. Quite simple, quite easy, and gives us really good data for how stock are performing, young stock, mature cows, etc. So yeah, really good.
G'day all, welcome back to another month. For those who haven't tagged along before, my name's Matt, and together with my wife Lucy, we farm in southwest Victoria in Australia. We milk close to 800 cows on 300 hectares, with about 300 hectares of support country for young stock and silage. We're now in April, and we've been calving now for the last sort of 6 or 7 weeks. So we're up at 630 cows in milk, and as you'll probably see later in the video, we still have no grass. Hasn't rained at all, and we've had mid to high 20s for nearly 10 to 2 weeks straight, which is pretty unusual for April. Normally we'd get, you would get 2 or 3 days of it, but not the stretch that we've had, and in between you would normally start getting some rain. So this is a pretty common theme across our area, and it's starting to get to a point where a lot of farmers are really struggling. People are running out of feed. and in areas where they're relying on dam water, they're also running out of water to feed stock. So we're pretty lucky we still have feed and we have bores to supply our stock water, so we're not in that same situation. But yeah, it's definitely getting worrying for the area, and I'll show you throughout the video some of the reasons why we're in this area. So just wandering around a paddock now just to show you what is typically of our area at the moment, not just our farm. So this is a perennial called base, which we haven't grazed since December because obviously we've had no growth, and that's not unusual for summer anyway, but typically by now we would start to see some sort of rain, some cooler days, this perennial would recover and you'd start to see some growth. At the moment, even with a little bit of mist we have had, there is signs of growth in this, which is great to see. So it shows us that these paddocks will recover, because we have, we've tried to protect them and look after them over these months. But, even if it does rain now, we're still going to be a good 6 weeks until we get any decent grass in front of us. So April's been ordinary, very warm. There's a screenshot I've taken here of our forecast during the middle of April, which pretty much come true. Mid-20s to high 20s the whole time, and very unusual. And then this other screenshot here is of our forecast for the next 2 weeks. Chance of some rain tomorrow, and you can see a few clouds starting to build behind us, and then no rain after that. So next week is the Woonable races, so May races, pretty famous in our area. It's the longest jumps race in the Southern Hemisphere. 3-day carnival, and every year it rains either at the races or the week of the races. You're normally guaranteed it. Pretty much no rain forecast, so it's a little bit worrying, not only for us, but everyone else, because feed's getting very short. So with it being dry, we are on the feed pad for 2 feeds a day, which is normal for us anyway, up until normally that August period when we go full grass for the spring. So at the moment, cows are heading to, we've got 2 or 3 sacrifice pads that we're just rotating around, and then they come back to the feed pad before milking every day, and then after milking I'll come back on just to tidy up what's left. So just pushing them in now for this afternoon's milking, but just want to run through what we feed. So at the moment we've got about 80 days worth of silage left in the pits. We've got a little bit of vetch hay that we made in the shed, and then we're pretty much out of hay and silage. So this is where grass will become pretty important to get into the diet. We've got, the pivot down here. You can see it's slightly green, so we've got some grass coming up there, but that's still going to be a while away. And, when we've got 700 cows in milk, that bit of grass won't go far, but still better than nothing. So at the moment, our ration is about 10 kilos of silage, 2 kilos of cottonseed, and 8 kilos of barley, corn, and canola meal. So, which ends up about 20 kilos of intake. Cows are currently, still on the up, doing about 2.1 solids, so pretty happy with that. I'll chuck a screenshot in here just to show what our current results are. And look, really happy with them. They seem to be not losing any weight. But, feed is very important. We're very lucky to have the feed we do. A lot of people in this area are either out of feed, buying feed, which is getting very tight to find if you can find it, and very expensive. As an example, protein hay, vetch, which is equivalent of, say, lucerne or alfalfa, depending on where you're from, is about $450 a tonne. Typically that's more like, $250 300 tops. So pretty expensive. Luckily grains aren't too bad, and canola meal's still pretty good. And the same with, so cottonseed, we have availability of byproducts. Cottonseed is one of them, high protein, high energy. We're feeding a couple of kilos of that mixed with a mixer in. So I'm trying to find some. There's some right there. So essentially it's just the seed after they gin the cotton. Cows seem to love it. Milk really well off it just because it's a really good energy profile and really good protein. So once we get grass, we'll take that out because that is $500 a tonne. But while we've got fresh cows and no grass is pretty important. So, but yeah, feeding, obviously we're feeding grain and dairy, but we're also feeding some grain through the mixer just to try and spread that load. But yeah, we can't complain. We've had some decent seasons. But you know, if we go too far from here, they haven't had a spring, missed last autumn and also missed the previous spring. So haven't been able to conserve a lot of fodder, and areas south of here that rely on dam water for stock water are also running out of water. So there's stories of cows getting sold, people just stop milking because they've got no water, and also people buying in truckloads of water every day, which, you know, a truckload of water's $500 roughly. So, you know, you add that up across a month and it's a fair bit of water. So, sort of hope it rains. It's very concerning if it doesn't, and especially if we don't have a next spring, that's going to be even more worrying. So, but look, you know, as much as it's a bit doom and gloom, we're going really well. Cows are milking well. Our hopefully milk price is on the up, and you know, if it rains, everything's good. So, thanks very much everyone for tuning in. A bit of a, you know, rundown of not so much what we've been up to, but just a general gist of what's happening in this area. Hopefully everyone's going well, and hope you're all getting some rain and some grass, and obviously in, you know, UK, Ireland, etc., you know, coming into a good spring. So, yeah, enjoy and talk to you next month.